Hi everyone, this is Heba from My Little Journal, and today I'm really excited to be sharing a flip through of February's Traveler's Notebook for 2021. I've shared this before. I keep my Traveler's Notebooks in these little frosted albums from Studio Calico. They're really, really cool, really enjoying them, and for 2021, I'm going to be like keeping these Traveler's Notebooks in these. But anyways, I can usually fit about 3 in here, so I can probably fit March in that same album. Okay, so let's start with February's Traveler's Notebook. As always, I do have the number. This is Traveler's Notebook number 51. And this little Traveler's Notebook stamp is from Everyday Explorers. It's so adorable. And we can start with our first spread, just documenting my son and I's walks when he's home. We love to go on our walks together. And I kept it very simple. I went with a large photo. I love using large photos in my Traveler's Notebook. And I do have a video sharing tips and tricks on how to use larger photos in your Traveler's Notebook. But I just created a little cluster. I believe these stamp sets are from Feed Your Craft, if I'm not mistaken. Keeping it simple, there was a little bit of white space at the top, and I took advantage of it to add a cluster in the corner. So for this spread, I created a flip or a fold. Let's say it's a fold, I believe. So I used one of these little clips from Felicity Jane. I had those for a very, very long time. So I like to use them when I have folds in my Traveler's Notebook. But what I did was I used the title from the Traveler's Notebook. So it said Simply the Best. And then I had this large photo of Stitch, Sabine, and I. And keeping it simple, the photo is adorable, and I didn't want to cover it up with anything. So I just added What a Wonderful World. It's just the little chipboard from Studio Calico. Made a fold from my photo, added some pattern paper to back up my photo, and then added my journaling, used my Everyday Explorers dog mom or dog parent stamp set. Really cute stamp set. If you're not familiar with it and you have a dog, you definitely need that stamp set. But I just kept it simple. Like I said, large photo, fold, and some journaling. And I love how it turned out. Again, sometimes you do not need a lot to create something fun. I've shared this spread on Instagram before. This is another simple, heartbreaking, and happy moments. Like I combined both stories. So my brother-in-law lost both his parents to COVID that month, and I was talking about that moment. And so I kept one side with my lows, which was talking about that story, and then my highs was my son came home to visit for a couple of weeks. And I thought combining both stories kind of share the lows and highs of our lives, if that makes sense. I used the Studio Calico kit at the time, so I stamped out highs, I stamped out lows, and kept each story like separate, if that makes sense. And I also used a photo for each story as well. I do have a process video for this one, again talking about my son and I's walks with Stitch. I really, really love those moments, and you'll see a lot of photos documenting our walks because they are very special to me. But anyways, I use the prompt stamp set from Everyday Explorers to stamp out the prompts on black labels. Now, I've been asked a lot how or what ink I used to stamp on the black labels. I use, let me grab it real quick, the White Brilliance ink. It is always linked in my Amazon shop and in the description box. All my favorite inks are linked in the description box. But I use the White Brilliance to stamp on my black labels. And then I added white labels, or actually I think I stamped these out. These are a part of an Everyday Explorer stamp set, if I'm not mistaken. I stamped them on white paper, added my journaling to go with each prompt. And then I added some of my favorite washi dots. I've shared these before, but these have become a favorite, and they're just little dots of washi that you can remove and stick on your spread. And it's like the little simple things, you guys, that make a difference. But I really love the photo. I love the prompts and the list. If you have prompt stamps, Definitely stamp them in labels, create like a list of things. That's a great way to use your prompt stamps. I do have a process video for this one. I believe it was one of my Scrap Your Scraps videos where I shared how to use your project life cards in different ways on a layout and not just in pockets. So I did, of course, use it as a journaling card, which is the norm, right? And I made a little slip into like this patterned paper to create a pocket, if I can get that back in there. I also trimmed out the cell phone from a card. I used a punch to punch "How was your day, dear?" And then I also trimmed out the "Hi, howdy, hey, hello there" from a card as well. So I basically used 4 cards on one spread. This is a great way to use up your project life cards. I know we all have loads and just don't have the need for all of them in pockets, if that makes sense. So I love to use my cards on my traveler's notebook spreads. I was documenting how my son and I chat literally every day. If it's not FaceTime, it's a phone call. And I always try to take screenshots when I remember. And I just stamped FaceTime all the time. I love chatting with him every day. I love that he wants to chat with me every day, basically. But I just love how this spread turned out. As always, you'll see that I have spreads in here that are empty and not used, and I'm okay with that. This would be perfect to document the hard times in February, but because I've already documented it, so I ended up not using this spread, but I love the pattern, so I'm keeping it in here. As you guys know, I love to read and I love documenting what I read for the month. So what I did here was I had a photo or photos of my book covers here, and I just created a little strip of my photos, and I broke them down a little bit with some book themed die cuts, some stamping, like I stamped story time, all the books. I also stamped read. I think this is a Studio Calico stamp set. Love the stamp set. I think it's called Isabel, if I'm not mistaken. And I used some more die cuts to add to my title, keeping it very simple. And I like that this background, the clouds, it just went really well with reading because I love reading when it's raining or cloudy or at night. It's just one of my things. Documenting one of our favorite spots to have burgers and fries. And what I did was I used Studio Calico's subscription stamp set to stamp the guest check and just added what we usually order. And I love doing that. It's a great way to add the prices and things like that to see how things change in the future and who starts, you know, eating something different basically, and how much the prices changed. I just thought it was a great idea. So I stamped that out and used that to kind of be the focal point of my spread. A little bit of journaling from the stamp set. I stamped Delicious Num Num and the fries and burger. Really, really cute. I love how this one turned out. I also really love documenting what I'm currently watching. So what I did was I used Close to My Heart kit that had a stamp set with a TV. And I used the TV, trimmed out the centers, added my photos behind that TV. Now this, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I do this all the time. I like to back up my TV sets or my books or whatever the case is with photos. So I did that for all 3 shows, added some hearts to kind of represent the ratings, stamped out watching, and wrote the name of each show. From that kit, there was stickers, there was stamps, all the good stuff. So I trimmed out some from the papers. I also used some of the stickers from the sticker sheet. I know the couch, I stamped it out and then added one of the stickers that said currently hibernating. Really love that kit. I don't believe it's available anymore, but if it is, I will link it in the description box for you. So in this traveler's notebook, I repeated a photo. So I'm talking about the same moment here. Let me show you where my brother-in-law lost both his parents. So you can see here, I did use the same photo and I'm okay with that. Now, the reason why I did this was there was in that same, okay, so this is the situation. When I talked about this over here on this spread, I was talking about my brother-in-law losing his father. but a few days later, he lost his mother. So I wanted to separate the two because it was heartbreaking, like hearing the story again, like happening to him again, and losing both parents was really, really tough. So I redid the same photo because I think the second time around we were just so down. I didn't take any pictures or anything like that. So I used the same photo, but I'm talking about a different story, if that makes sense. It was a tough week, but we made it. I do have a process video for this one as well. I used the Paper Person Shop kit. It was all about food. Love that kit. Used the stamps as well. But I used one of the cards that said homemade, used some of the stamps from the stamp set to add to that. And I'm documenting my mom's wonderful breakfast. So I stamped Menaish for breakfast. That's like one of my favorite breakfasts, especially at mom's. And just trimmed out the bread from the pattern paper, I believe, or it was one of the cards. And I trimmed out the bread and just kind of scattered it all over my spread just to be able to use more of that pattern than just sticking to the card itself, if that makes sense. I always feel like if you cut out the pattern from the pattern paper, you get more use of it. I do want to apologize about the noisy lawnmower next door. But anyways, we're moving on to this one where I'm talking about a happy moment. And this was a part of the pattern from the Studio Calico Traveler's Notebook. So it had today was a good day and today was a bad day. All I did was I filled out the spots. So under today was a good day, I added a photo, same here. And then it had this made me feel. I just stamped happy and sad. And then it said because, and I added my journaling to both. And tomorrow is going to be, and I just added happier and better with alpha stickers. Kept it very simple. I love the red with the blue and I kept with it, and I love these simple layouts so much. Documenting a snow day in February. Kept it simple again. I believe this is probably a Carrie Bradford stamp set. I might be wrong. It could be a Paper Person's. Again, I will try to link everything down in the description box for you. But I stamped snow day and I used this cloud stamp from a Studio Calico subscription stamp set, keeping it simple, and then added make it count because we really didn't get really good snow days. It was just cold and you would have a little bit of snow scattered. So we made every snow day count. I believe I created this on one of my lives and I was documenting my COVID shopping. So I made, okay, so these are photos that I made from some of the stuff that I usually get every week. And I just printed my little list or my receipt, sorry, added it into this little shopping bag. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I printed this on pattern paper from Google. It was a free printout. So I printed it on pattern paper, created a little pocket for my photos and my receipt, and then just stamped COVID shopping. These stamp sets are from the Paper Person Shop. It was like all about shopping and grocery shopping. So I used those as embellishments for my spread and added some journaling, called it done. So next up, obviously, I have to document stitch in every traveler's notebook. Actually, someone suggested that I do a traveler's notebook dedicated to stitch, and I think I'm going to do that. I think I have enough stories about stitch to document in one traveler's notebook. But anyways, created this strip of photos of Stitch and I and my daughter, just little moments here and there, added my journaling, used my Studio Calico dog stamp set. Love that stamp set. And this was just a pattern from the Traveler's Notebook, so it was a great spot to create a column of stamping and embellishing. My daughter loves NASA, and hopefully one day she will be working for NASA, fingers crossed. And so what I did was, okay, so I wanted the space to journal, like that was important to me. But I also, let's pull this out. This is hard to pull out a little bit because I have the tape and stuff. But I also had this large 4x8. So I didn't want to cover this space because I love the stars. It went really well with the story. And I also wanted the space to journal. So I created a little pocket. I just trimmed my pattern paper, stamped I Believe in You and UFOs. This stamp set, I believe, was from Spellbinders. Yes. Again, I will link everything in the description box. And that way I had a little pocket for my photo and space for my journaling. I got to play with my stamps on the opposite side. Love the spread so much. And it really represents her love for NASA. And by the way, we were watching the launch, and that's what I was documenting about. Anyways, that's about it, you guys. That's all the spreads that I created in February. Hopefully, I'll be able to share March very soon. I'm almost done with it. And I hope you enjoyed watching this flip through. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.